Steve, I gotta tell you, aren't we at like 51 or something like that?
This is 51. We're getting pretty close to
1 year's
to
worth.
the year of. So we've been very consistent on our goals. Speaking of goals, they're gonna like this.
They're
show.
gonna really like this one. You guys don't miss this. This is somebody who has a vision. He's a 40-something, and gosh,
just going after his dreams and making things happen.
That's right.
So this is part one of our 3-part series of generational goals on our second half of the series. So this is our 40 something.
yeah, 40-something. Tune in, tell everybody.
That's right. You're gonna enjoy this one.
Well, good day, Steve.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, and welcome to the Steve and Steve Show. I'm Steve Wastenberg,
And I'm Steve Walsh.
and gosh darn, we got somebody here today. Your name is Jimmy. To me, is my cousin. So it's really going to be exciting. But before we get to that, we got to do what we always do, right? People, you need to subscribe if you haven't subscribed.
Yep. So thanks for watching us. Definitely hit that subscribe button and hit that bell for your notifications. Today, Steve and Jimmy, thanks for being a guest on our show. But last month, maybe it's been a couple months, but it's been a few weeks. We did a 3-part series on generational goals, and we did a teen, 20-something, and a 30-something. And we're going to continue that with the second part of our first part series.
So we got to give your age, Jimmy. Sorry, you're in the 40s.
I'm into my
You don't
40s.
have to tell us, but
Yeah, so this is part one of another 3-part series, and we're going to start off with the 40-something, and then we'll do a 50-something, and then our 60-something. So, and I think the lineup we have is
it's phenomenal.
Gonna
It's
be
phenomenal.
fantastic.
You're gonna love it, you know, and you're always gonna get some kind of a nugget out of this. So definitely watch this one, and then look forward to the next 2 that are coming, 50 and 60 something. Maybe we should do a 70, 80, and 90 if we can find a 90 out there. Sure we could.
I will have to dig at that one.
Yeah.
So Steve, we've got
Another drink again. We're never actually promoting something. We just happen to drink these, but this one is for the new year. A nice dark milk stout, and got to pour these babies hard. Oh, look at that!
so that's why do we pour it hard?
Because that gets your beautiful, beautiful foam going there on that. The nice head. See how that rolls like that? Isn't that beautiful?
Okay.
So go give it a shot.
That's the CO2 that's doing that, right?
Well, these are actually nitrous. I think these are nitrates.
Oh.
Nitrous. What? I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, look at that beautiful head. Look at those rolling like that. It's like a cascading,
So it's part
delectable
all
delight
part,
of
all
deliciousness.
part around the show of it's just the experience.
That's part of the
just
experience.
not
Yeah.
just the flavor.
It is, and it ends up like that. You see, and you see how we got all 3 of them. This is neat.
So we don't endorse underage drinking,
No, please don't do that.
and certainly the
You're over.
brewery is not giving us any sponsorship.
No, they're not,
This is
darn
a
it.
freebie for you if you're watching.
Yep. Oh yeah, this is Call to Arms Brewery. That's a place I went in. Gosh, I can't remember where it was, but I collect these glasses wherever I go. That one's Echo is now named something. Well, there is an Echo. Mirror here in Frederick, but Echo is still in Erie. And then we got Whitney over there in Longmont. That's a cool place too.
I was curious, is this a Colorado?
I do not believe this is. No, I bought this in somewhere, and I think I drank a few, and I don't remember.
So are we gonna taste these?
Let's
or-
taste these. Cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Happy New
Cheers.
Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
That is righteous.
That's good.
Yeah, that's.
See, that's not as bad as some of those.
This is, I have to admit that for a dark beer, it's not too bad.
Kind of smooth, you know?
It is smooth. It had nothing to do with the hard pour.
No, it's the
Take it.
milk, because this is a milk stout, so this is for milk people. Those that like milk.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Creamy
It wasn't that
Creamy head,
It
yeah.
wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be, but it's still a dark beer.
All right, well, we don't want to lose our audience talking about how good beers are or not, so we got to jump right in. And Jimmy, why don't you kind of introduce yourself? I want to just give a little introduction because a lot of the stuff that we do on the Steve and Steve show is about, personal development and entrepreneurship and business and what you're doing. And I got to tell you, I've known Jimmy, all of his life. He's my cousin. But this man has had an entrepreneurial mind ever since I can remember him. So a lot of times people will be like really famous in the world. None of us are quite yet that famous in the world. You and I are starting to really get out there.
I have a famous name.
You have a famous name. And you've done a lot of famous stuff. But in our heads, we're all famous. And this guy, in his head, is really famous. So without further ado, Jimmy, tell us a little bit about yourself. Better than me telling you.
Oh, rich. My name is Jim Grasser. Jimmy to the friends and family that are closest to me. I've been in the building materials industry for 20-something years. And I have a real passion for cooking outdoor barbecue.
Barbecue?
Mm-hmm.
I've had his barbecue. It is righteous.
And I guess I've been trying to figure out a way to get out and make money doing something that I really am passionate about and enjoy doing. So I guess professionally I'm a sales and operations manager historically, but I've also spent quite a bit of time doing the barbecue thing. So
How do you make money doing the barbecue thing?
There's a number of different ways. The most common is to try and open your restaurant. I really don't have much of a passion for doing that. I feel like
Oh, we got to speak loud because damn heater keeps coming on.
we don't. I think that the restaurant industry, those guys work really hard, and we're seeing some hardships imposed on them right now. And I just that doesn't seem very exciting to me. Another way would be to sell your product, your spice rubs, your barbecue sauces, and I did that for a little while with varying
different stores.
Yeah,
Okay.
I did that for a little while with varying success.
I still wish I had some more of your spice rub. That 303 was dynamite spice rub. I mean, righteous.
Well, and I love that. And I had a number of people express their sentiment like that. But the problem is, at the end of the day, you're competing against McCormick, right?
Yeah.
The people walk into the store and they see that brand that,
Yeah.
you could spend the money on the small guy, or you could spend the money on the one that you know is going to be good.
Yeah.
I have a problem with them, but it was difficult, and I didn't really have the passion for that either. What I enjoy doing is getting out and competing. We do a lot of competitive barbecue.
So when you say competitive barbecue, you're talking about what we've seen on TV where the guys get out there and they've a bunch of people out there with judges and they're cooking outside and
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And you that's your soul's essence,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
I've had his barbecue too, man. I mean, really. good.
Where does that competitive barbecue, is it because of sponsors? Where does the money come out of the competitive barbecue? I mean, do you have to win every time to actually earn an income, or how does that?
If you're not going to be sponsored, it's going to be a tough road, because you'd be effectively trying to make a living off the winnings, and even the best of the best are going to struggle with that.
There's not a lot of
There's
money.
not a lot of money. There is some money in it, but
So it's like NASCAR. There's always that group of cars that are in the back of the pack. They got sponsors.
Fruit
So
Loops.
they can keep showing up to the
Yeah.
and that's their profession, right?
right.
So that's
a great
kind of
analogy.
That's
It
kind of
is.
the same idea, right?
Yeah.
Well, because I was trying to think like golf, but you just have to play on Sunday and you get paid.
You know what another one is? Skiing. Professional skiing is one where they always have sponsors behind them because they're not making a huge paycheck on that. There's a bunch of them out there like that.
Now, if you win, and obviously the sponsors like that you win because they're on the showcase, right?
Exactly.
But then you get the prize, right?
Right.
Is the prize, are there some big prizes out there for winning barbecue?
Yeah. The bigger the pot, probably the more of the high caliber teams that are going to be showing up to compete for it. The smaller pots, can still be lucrative. But again, it would be difficult to really support a family or, you know, to make a house payment or anything like that on the winnings.
Our elected officials should have a sponsor list.
I think they probably do. I actually do. I just don't know that we know the sponsor behind them. It's like China. Oh, should I not have said that online? China might be sponsoring them. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's not go down any of those roads yet.
All right. So let's get back to track.
Drink another beer, baby.
Yeah.
So Jimmy, when the topic of the show is around goals. So what do you do, you know, when you're looking at working with the barbecue, the competition of the barbecues? What kind of goals do you set? When do you set those? How do you set those? What's kind of things do you do to do goal setting?
Yeah. You start planning like early in the year or
Yes.
end of the year?
Yes. Yes. You know, as I've gotten deeper into it, if you will, those goals have changed. When I first started, the goal was to just not be last. Right? Just we call it DAL, and it's dead something last, right?
Dead ass last?
Yeah.
We're not supposed to.
I don't want
I
to
told him this was
detail.
PG-13. You're not seeing the full side of Jimmy here, but dead ass last. You can
Yep,
say.
didn't want to be that. And then, you know, that once we worked that, then it became I want to be in the top half. Right now, if I show up to a competition, I'm somewhat offended if I'm not in the top 10.
Nice.
Cool.
And of
So
course,
it's progressive. It's been a progressive.
yeah, you know, and when you go in and you know that you can compete at a high level, you're not looking necessarily for top 10. You're really trying to strive for that first place. Now, whether or not you get it, it's a different story. But you know, your goal is first place. Right.
And let me ask you, amidst those goals, I know that in the competition there are different meats that you actually cook. Is there one of those that you say, you know what, I really want to hit it out of the park on brisket or something? Is there something that you have in your goal setting as a favorite that you think you're going to really, you know, do as a meat?
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
do.
So my favorite thing to cook is brisket. I
And it's
really
good.
enjoy cooking brisket. So I want to go out and put my best foot forward in there. I want to put my best foot forward in all the categories.
What are the categories that you compete in?
Right. So I compete in the Kansas City Barbecue Society, and there is chicken, ribs, pork shoulder, and beef brisket.
Are you hungry, Steve? I'm kind of hungry.
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Well, I was gonna say I like eating brisket.
I like cooking brisket, so.
Gosh, we should have done that. Big plate of brisket here, huh?
Well, you know, so I love cooking brisket, and I really want to put my best foot forward there. I hate cooking chicken, but chicken has historically been one of my better categories.
Really?
Yes, it's been one of my better categories. So going into this, going into a competition, part of me wants to not give much time to it because I hate doing it. And then the other part of me says, well, this is kind of buttered your bread for a while, so you got to spend your time on this. So
Yeah.
a goal might just be keeping motivated on that.
And isn't that a little harder meat to cook? Chicken?
Yeah, it's-
Because
it's
it can
challenging.
dry out real quick and stuff.
challenging.
Yeah.
So with the competition, like is it like an event where people actually can go and get a sample, like a lunch type sample?
Yeah, spectators are there.
Or is it closed off?
Yes and no. It's a two-part question. Yes, most of the events will have some sort of a vending portion of it, right? And it's typically paid for. You have to buy it.
Yeah.
The no part of that comes from competitors like myself. I really don't focus on vending. My pit is a big pit, but it's not big enough to feed the masses and compete off of.
Okay.
So I kind of cook enough for the competition and exclude myself from the vending portion.
Got
By
it.
doing that, I don't have the stainless steel grates that the FDA is going to want me to serve off of and that sort of thing. So really, I'm not even allowed
Okay.
to provide it to
But
the...
you're competing at those events that do have the vending
Correct.
ones. So you're just
So there, it's there. I'm just not doing it.
So Steve and I could show up. We could show up and pay with a ticket.
But we wouldn't get his stuff.
You wouldn't
Well,
get it.
we might get his stuff.
You know a guy.
we know a guy. That's right. So okay, so around goals. I mean, do you go through a process? Like, do you sit down and write them out, or do you kind of just think about, hey, I want to hit 10 events this year, or I want to make sure I go to these 3 events and maybe 2 extra ones. What does that process look like for you from a goal planning?
I don't write out a lot of my goals. I've got a lot of things in my head. Definitely have these goals, but they're more. I go from whether I'm talking about barbecue or professionally. I set goals that are wide scoped and then narrow scoped.
Okay.
So my wide scope might be, don't be dead ass last, right? And then my narrow scope might be first place. And at this point, I feel like, we're starting to dial it into where I'm kind of getting narrow scoped on certain things, right? And whether I'm that professionally, professionally I might say wide scoped, I don't want to be dead last. If I'm selling a product professionally, I'm going to look at who else is selling that product and rank myself and try and be as objective as I can, and then give myself a true ranking and not be last. And then once I've beat that, now we start looking at, okay, well, who's the remaining 2 or 3 companies that are doing it better than us, right? And then who's the, or what have you. And then as we start to look at their processes and try and make ours better than theirs, then we start getting finer and finer. And I start looking at, okay, now what do I have to do to be number 1?
Okay.
I'm not really interested in being last. So how do I have to get there? And I take kind of a stair-step approach to it.
Okay, so that's fantastic, getting putting in the goals. I want to actually go to a place where it's kind of the motivation behind this, because, like I said, I've known you forever. Where did you decide that cooking was something you really liked, and specifically cooking barbecue? Because when you were younger, I don't think you really cooked at all. I mean, I love to cook. I've loved to cook forever.
Right.
So where did it start? Where's the genesis?
It would be my Uncle Dean.
Uncle Dean.
Uncle Dean.
We need to, gosh darn, he's a 60-something.
That's not Jimmy Dean.
No, it's not. It's Jimmy and Dean. And we all get together, Jimmy, Dean, and Steve. It's not a place you want to miss, frankly. There's he's 60-something. We should get Dean.
Be a good one too.
I'm thinking that maybe when it warms up, we have Jimmy back and we
cook some barbecue.
We do some barbecue.
Yeah, I like that.
We do a
competition.
little competition to see what's better, his chicken or his brisket.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Maybe I'll throw in there.
I'll just start working on it the week before.
Maybe I'll throw in there and cook something, and Dean could throw in there and cook something.
That's a good idea.
We could film our. Oh, that's a secret society. We can't talk about that.
Talk about that.
But anyway, tell us, how'd you get? Everybody has to be.
I forgot there was a question there.
Everybody has to be motivated by something, right? We all have our dreams. You have, you started with your dreams in scouting a long time ago. I've always liked cooking, but my big thing was probably writing. Where was the genesis of this that has now become a huge part of your life, and your lovely wife, by the way? He's got a great wife and family.
Supportive.
Kids. Yeah, very supportive.
So, in my mid-teens, I think I was 15, we traveled to Austin
Now there's a barbecue.
We traveled to Austin for a Christmas. And while we were there, I had another uncle.
That's in Texas for some of you folks that have some challenges with geography.
There are other Austins.
I understand, but this is in Texas.
Yep.
There's only one true Austin. I think.
They would say that. Don't mess with Texas. Go on.
I got another uncle who took me to a barbecue restaurant, and I had never really been exposed to, traditional pit-fired smoked food. And they ordered me a rack of ribs, and I just crushed this rack of ribs. It was one of the most delicious things I'd ever eaten.
This was in Austin?
Yeah, this was in Austin.
Yeah, they were setting you up in Austin.
Yeah.
Because Austin has some barbecue.
So I came home and I thought, you know what, someday I want to learn how to do that, right? Just if I can, because that restaurant was in Austin and I live in Colorado, I'm not going to get to go there very often. So I've got to learn how to do that myself. So part of me wanted that. And then Uncle Dean, he does a really good steak.
He does.
And same sort of thing. I can't go to Uncle Dean's all the time, and I'd like to know how to do a steak. So I wanted to try and cook a steak as good as he did. So there were a couple different factors, but I think those two things, I really wanted to learn how to do them at home so that I wasn't reliant on traveling to Austin or going to my uncle's house.
So it's interesting because a lot of people will do something like that because they'll watch some cooking show or something like that. And you didn't do that to get the genesis of it. It was people that you met and a place that you went that had a real inspiration for you. You said, I think I'd like to learn that. And that's the entrepreneurial mind that I was talking about, because it's one thing to go and have a good meal and say, wow, I want to go back there. It's another thing to have a good meal and say, I want to do that.
I want to be able to do that.
I want to do that. That, folks, listening, is the entrepreneurial mindset. And damn it, everybody out there has it.
Yeah, so I want to interject.
Please do.
Around the success principles. And that's what you kind of did without really knowing what you did was you went on a vision quest. And a vision quest is you do things differently. You don't go the same route to work. You take a different route. You don't stop in the same coffee shop on the way to work. You do a different coffee shop, and you explore, and you go on a vision quest to see what interests show up and what passions you discover,
right.
And you follow those, and that's become your vision. So that's kind of what you've kind of did, but over a longer period of time.
And didn't know it, right?
I like barbecue. I like the way this, and I like the way I want to learn how to do that, and then that stirred up the passion of where you ended up.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. So if you haven't done a vision quest, or you're kind of wondering what to do, or want to do something like what Jimmy's doing with his passion of barbecue and competing, you want to do something like that, suggestion is go on a vision quest.
I might add, because I think it's fantastic what you said, maybe you, just like Jimmy, have already been on a vision quest and you haven't realized it. So maybe you go and reflect on something that you may have done in your life that was like, what really stood out that was really cool. That may actually be your vision quest, right? Just like what Jimmy did.
Yep, very cool. So I have a question. When you do these competitions, like at golf, there's the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Football is Super Bowl,
mm-hmm.
right? What's the baseball? World Series.
World Series.
Yeah. So there's the event,
Right.
Right. The annual event. The event. What's the barbecue competition event?
The American Royal.
The American Royal. Where is
American
that?
Royal.
It moves around? Oh, it stays.
Mm-hmm. And it's the American Royal. They call it the World Series of Barbecue. And it's a two-part tournament. There's a Saturday tournament and a Sunday tournament. The Saturday is an invitational tournament, and then the Sunday is an open. To qualify for the invitational, you have to have won a tournament in the previous 12 months.
A certain kind of tournament or?
A sanctioned Kansas City Barbecue Society tournament.
Okay.
Cool.
So it has to have been sanctioned by the Kansas City Barbecue Society.
So have you been invited to that yet?
I have. We were fortunate.
Woo! Way to go, man.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
And when you're there, when you do win a tournament, you feel like the king of the hill, right? When you show up to the American Royal Invitational, the one that I went to, there were
You're back to the ball.
183 teams in the Invitational.
Wow.
And so the worst team in the pack of 183 teams
Has won.
has won a tournament in the last 12 months. So if you can pull
It's like
that
the
one off,
NFL.
if you win that one, you're winning the Tournament of Champions. And I think most barbecue people would consider that the Tournament of Champions, the real one. There's also
So I'll give you a story. When I was growing up in high school, I played tennis year round. I was always at a tennis camp, at a tennis tournament, in some sort. I played tennis all the time. And I went to go try out for my high school tennis team. And I'm thinking, shit, man, I'm like number one in all these camps, right? Where I grew up in Tucson, the high school I went to was kind of the high school name is Sabino, but the nickname for the high school is Snobino.
okay.
So there were some wealthy kids that went to our high school. Well, not that I don't know how we got into the neighborhood, but that. So I go to try out and I got my.
Handed to you.
Yeah, I got it. I didn't even make the first round, and I was like, holy cow. But I was, and I was playing all these city leagues and doing really well. And then I show up in my high school, I never made the team. But it was.
Talking about wide scope and narrow scope goals, a wide scope goal was to not be dead ass last, right? And then a narrow scope goal was to be, in the top 10 and then eventually number 1, right? It's amazing how once you've kicked through one of those doors, and then I met the American Royal, and all of a sudden I've got a very wide scope goal again. Just don't be dead ass last. It was, I would love to have a narrow scope goal of being number 1, but I just don't want to be dead ass last.
So they percolate. I mean, those goals have to go back as you rise up.
You're always resetting.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like Dow. I'm going to remember that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. We'll have
good.
to put that in there.
Well, we should probably wrap this up. As much fun as it's been, we're moving into time frame that we should get that.
Last question would be, how is there a tip that you want to give folks
To this massive audience.
And you could do both. You can do
Thank you.
You could do the tip, or if you don't have a tip, but you want them to maybe, how can they follow you, or
How about both? Because he's got a tip. I guarantee he's got a tip. It might be like burnt ends.
Tri-tip.
Tri-tip.
So you got
Tell the audience. You're talking to a lot of people here.
I think
International.
I think the simplest tip I think would be to chase your dreams.
Amen.
If you aren't satisfied with what you're doing and you think there's another way that you could do it, then do it. Try and wake up and enjoy your job. Try and wake up and enjoy your family. Enjoy the time that you have. That would be my tip, right? I don't know how you do that personally. I don't know. Everybody's a little bit different themselves, right? But I know that I'm transitioning into the next phase of my life, trying to wake up doing a job that I love and spending more time with my family.
cool.
Awesome.
So there's my tip.
That's awesome.
And if you want a tip on brisket, just leave it in the pit for longer.
Yeah. So is there do you like
Low and slow.
do you have like a Facebook page or something that
I do.
If someone's interested in like checking out the barbecue competition, they can
Yeah.
find you.
I'm more active on Instagram right now.
Okay.
At 303 barbecue, and it's spelled out barbecue, and it's spelled with a C rather than a Q. BARBECUE.
At 303 barbecue.
303.
And I say 303, it's actually 303, but at 303 barbecue.
303. So like the area code.
Exactly.
Colorado.
Colorado area code.
We've also got a Facebook page. I plan to be more active on that in 2021.
And you've got a website.
And I do.
Really nice one.
Spelled out 303barbecue.com.
Cool. Very cool.
And again, with a C.
Jimmy, thank you for joining us. I think this is one of our funnest recordings.
Well, I told you he was going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. It's kind of cool.
All right.
So before we do the cheers, thank you for making it this far in the recording. Remember to hit that subscribe button and that bell notification. This is the first part of our next series of generational goals. So this is part 1. We'll have 2 more parts for the, what are we at? 50s and 60s.
something, right?
So, yep.
Yeah, milk stout isn't weak, so.
Yep.
I also wanted to say, tell your friends and family, and we all know that our family's big. So anybody out there that's our family, get it out to about 10 or 20 of your extras, and let them know that Jim is on the Steve and Steve show.
Yeah, and a real quick bonus, because it's the beginning of the year and you're struggling with goals, we do have a goal workbook or worksheet that will guide you in setting up your goals in a SMART. That's the acronym way, and you can get that on our website, and that's at 2, the number 2, the letter B, exceptional. So 2bexceptional.com.
And it's not too late, so get those goals started now. Get it now before the year gets already into February, March, April, etc.
Yep. So thanks for joining us. All right, gentlemen.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.